Different, don't get bad. High difference of my winning. Show do good, not that swinging. Yeah, I got nice vision.
Sean here, and I thought, how can we fix this goblin? One method keeps popping in my head when I think about it, and it's gonna have to be at least 8 to 12 months, twice a week. Because Cyraxx is delusional, he will never tell the truth, ever. He will never, ever tell the truth, because his truth is not reality. So what you would have to do twice a week, 100% for certain, is put him in role-playing situations based on reality. That's what Cyraxx does now, is role-play as some bigwig. You'd have to do the reverse. Because in Cyraxx's head, he already knows how to be a bigwig. So being a normal person is not an option. So you would have to train him to be a normal person. You would have to get him to understand what a normal person does. You can't just throw it in his face that a 9 to 5, because that's all he understands is 9 to 5. How many times do you think he's heard Ed and Sally? I'm not going out and get one of them jobs, man. Come home hurting for almost no pay. I'm just going to sit at home and live off the government. I don't know if that's how Sally would say it. But anyway, you'd have to put him in some real therapy. We're talking at least, can he go an hour without spanking the monkey? I don't know. I have a feeling that a lot of times when he wants to rush off panel, it's because he has to spank it. Again, I don't mean to repeat, but I just want to make sure that I'm saying the right thing. Put him in role-playing therapy. Cannot be with the woman. Absolutely cannot be, because he would be on stage if it was a female. He wouldn't be able to portray a regular, he's not even a regular person. He's subpar, substandard. But he wouldn't be able to portray a regular dude. He'd want that woman to remind her, yeah, I can't really do this. You know, I'm a big rock star. I got this LLC. I don't know why we're doing this for. You put him in there with an alpha male, you might have another problem, because he loves to buddy up to people. Look at Security Jake. As Marty said, I still don't know if it's true. He's the hammer, he's the hammer, Cyraxx is the nail. But if you put somebody in there, all of a sudden that guy will be his little brother or big brother. I don't know how he'd respond to an elderly person, because he might tell himself, I'm just throwing this out there, he might tell himself that, oh, this guy's so out of touch, he doesn't know who I am. You know who I am? I'm Cyraxx, a.k.a. Those reality-based therapy sessions where he's role-playing would have to be very specific. And you can't start off with Cyraxx role-playing the exact opposite of what he wants to be, because if you do that, he's going to shut down, he's going to tune out, he's going to try to cancel those sessions all the time. You'd have to send somebody there to pick him up. And I think even Sally might get panicked that he's getting somewhere and might just stop answering the door. Oh, we're sorry, we didn't know we were not going to be home, as she's peeking down the stairs or around the corner. Or Cyraxx is heard up in the attic with X videos or whatever that link was that he had, OnlyFans or whatever, blasting. Can you imagine being Sally downstairs real quick and you hear the thump 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 thump, and you hear like X videos at 150 decibels? I'm a goblin. Yeah, I'm a little goblin. You love that. Oh God, that's disgusting. So you would have to teach him how to be a normal person. I know that was a whiplash right there, but you'd have to teach him how to be a normal person, how to have a normal job. God, you'd have to teach this goblin how to manage money, and teach him, oh my God, the more I talk about it, it's common. You have to teach them how to manage money. You have to teach them what prioritization of money is. And that just because you want Fortnite skins and purchasing them means you won't have any food, or you won't be able to pay your electric bill and things like that. That's going to be a problem with Cyraxx, big time. He's not going to understand what has to be purchased and what doesn't. He's not going to understand any of that because he doesn't value money and he doesn't know how the real world works. So you're going to have to start with some kind of rent. If you, after this year, can get him a real job, then yeah, you could train him to pay Sally a small amount of rent or whatever. I think man, I don't know about Ohio, but there was in Hawaii, they had this program. I don't know if they still have it. They had a program where people that were disadvantaged, they would pay like $200 rent. No, I don't think it was that much back then. It may have just been $100. I don't know, but they would have a sponsored job. They'd pay like $100 rent to get used to paying it. They'd pay like $20 for the utilities, something, whatever. However, they divided it up, and they would look at their pay stubs, work through it, show them where that money went and why they only have this much money left over. There are programs out there like this right now, and it's sad that this supposed grown-ass man would have to go through it. Why are you taking all that money from me? Mom, they're stealing from me. No, dude, it's called taxes. It's called rent, utilities. I mean, not DSP, the electric bill, the internet bill. Okay, I got the electric bill. All right, the internet bill's coming up. He only has rent, electric bill, internet bill, and something always breaks right around the time WWE Champions is having a special. But this is Cyraxx we're talking about. Getting him to that point would be difficult because you'd have to explain to him what real people do, what they go through, what they can and can't accomplish. And oh my God, when they got to the point where they had to actually place him, as I've said before, that would be the snapping point. You can't tell him that when he first starts. You can't ask him to pick a job and not have content creator on there. And if you asked him to show you the LLC he just started, because they would take that into account if it was real. You know, what do you got going on here? Do you know how to... Let's see what you got. How much money is you bringing in? I don't have to tell you. I don't have to tell you. You know how it is, that little 3-year-old, you know. I'm not telling you. You don't need to know when there's really nothing going on. But anyway, we're talking about crack racks. So from the beginning, you would have to establish an identity for him. You would have to establish who he is in this scenario. Make it a veiled description of himself. Of course, he wouldn't know it was him because he doesn't believe that that's where he actually is. So you'd have to establish an identity. And then your situation would have to be using your education or something to that extent. Testing, I'm sure they would do some testing and have the testing come back to crack racks. I mean, you know what, this is ridiculous. You shouldn't have to trick a grown-ass man into getting their GED or at least figuring out how to get a job. But we're talking about a 43. We're talking about somebody who needs help, who needs to be brought back to reality. Delusional? Fuck, man. Delusional people, delusional patients are a nightmare because their reality remains their reality until a life-changing event comes along and they have a revelation, whatever you want to call it, an epiphany, and they figure it out for themselves. Without that, the revelation and epiphany for crack racks may not ever come, because even when Sally and Ed both perk off into the sunset, Cyraxx is going to be homeless, but it won't matter. He's homeless because maybe there's some secret life insurance policy we don't know about. But he's in serious trouble, so you'd have to go through the first 6 months would be the most difficult because your gains would be very small. You might get him to identify with something here or there, like, oh, you know, I have that same issue, or, yeah, you know, I didn't know that, or I had no idea that's how that worked. But to get him to say, yes, I am not contributing, I need to get out there and do it, and that it is possible. This this goblin would say, well, I'm watching, it's part of my job. I'm watching all these videos, playing video games, making my music. The same spiel. Merch store, blah, blah, blah. I wouldn't want to do it. I would not want to be in charge of this goblin. I don't know how. I would lose patience. It would take someone with infinite more experience, someone who has dealt with truly delusional patients where reality was altered, where they believed things that were so outlandish, and they would fight to the death. The people who thought they were angels on earth, or thought they were constantly possessed by a demon, and the reason they were making bad choices is because they were possessed, and they didn't have to follow society's rules because they were an angel. We're talking delusions that far, because maybe, just maybe, they would have the patience and they could identify what it is that is keeping him locked in this fake world that he has created. It's not a simple answer. It's not just because he doesn't want to get a real job. This goes way beyond that, and it is deep rooted in him. You can change your perspective. You can change your opinion and your outlook. But changing somebody's reality altogether, so much harder. You'll have to convince them of basic facts. Chance is one of those people who would hear something and take it as fact. Science was meant to be questioned. If you can't question science, it's nothing more than just propaganda, or I'm talking about like back Tesla and all that whole mess, and cotton and hemp and this, whatever benefits Cyraxx is going to be the reality. Whatever puts money in in people's pockets, they're going to push to make that the reality. That's what I'm trying to say. But Cyraxx is not having any money put in his pockets, and that's not exactly what I'm saying about him. What I'm actually saying is that Chancey Poo doesn't have a reason to stay in this reality, to stay in this little fake bubble he's created that's so easily burst. And it probably busts every day while he's sitting at home, and that's why he's got to get on the line. Yo, boy, whenever he says, yo, boy, it's a lie. There was a guy we worked with. It's the guy that you've heard me before. I call him, I think it was Bis Bifford, because it rhymes with Bis Bifford. Anyway, whenever he would get ready to tell one of his bullshit-ass stories, he would reach up slowly and dramatically, take his glasses off, and go, boys, I wasn't sure I should tell you this, or I didn't want to have to tell you this. We're at Chili's. Reaches up. The glasses come down. Dead serious. Boys, I don't know how to tell you this, but I'm a Jedi. Not faking it, man. We're talking another guy who never did anything with his life, had a miserable life with no friends, but damn it, everything incredible happens to him. Another story real quick. This is a Cyraxx story. A dog came to him hungry and thirsty and actually spoke. I'm not making this shit up. Actually spoke to him. He was out hunting, and there was a deer in this one beam of light that was coming through the trees, and he took his gun down. The deer looked over at him, nodded, waited there, and he shot him. One shot to the heart, clean kill. Fuck, I have hundreds of stories like that, just glasses coming down. So when he says, boys, I didn't have to tell you, that's Chance saying, your boy is making big boss moves. Big boss moves. There are no big boss moves, Chance. The biggest boss fucking move you could ever make, dude, is to get a job and limit your time on the internet. And I think limit your time is how you get through to him. Taking something away from him is punishment. So he doesn't really deal with punishment that well. So you'd have to say, Chance, we're going to limit your time on the internet. You need to think about what you're going to put out. You need to focus. If you're going to try to do this while you have a real job and you're contributing, you need to think about it. Well thought out, focus. Don't just sit around and go, I'm going to flip on the camera and go, will you glory hole? You some bitch. But you would have to, man, you'd have to ease into all of this shit. So yeah, limit your time on the internet. Think about what you're going to put out. Who does this benefit? Am I really progressing? That would be a third, fourth conversation to have with him after you teach him the basics of life and how it works. And you tell him, you show him hundreds of examples, because that's what it would have to be. Nobody's going to do that to take the time to do it, but you have to show him hundreds of examples of people way more talented than he is that ended up not being able to do anything because they didn't think anything out. They didn't have a plan. They were delusional. It's going to take someone big time. And I don't even know if Chester came back, right? Resurrected, went up to Cyraxx, my guy. You're not talented. You're not good enough to be a musician. You need to find something you're good at. He would just be like, wow, miracle, you resurrected. You came back to talk to me. Nope, I'm not doing it. So I don't know who could get through to this sort of goblin. But again, he needs to be trained and anchored in reality. He can live in a fantasy world. He can daydream all he wants, as long as when he's at work, when he's in the real world, he is in the real world. So I think when it comes down to all of that, it would be, what a challenge. It would be a massive challenge. It honestly would. And I don't know how to get through to him. I don't know what to say to him. I mean, I know what I'd like to say to him, and that would be the problem. I'd get to the point where I'd just snap, and I wouldn't be able to tell him. So, yeah, I know I've repeated myself a few times, so I'm just trying to reason this out. I was just trying to make a point. He is so far beyond regular guidance, counseling, and therapy, and it would have to be inconvenient to him. It would have to be more than the time he is willing to allot, because the time he is willing to allot would be the time that he could just block it out, half listen, not really pay attention, and it would have to be participatory. He couldn't just talk, because he'd never shut the hell up. He'd have to be given a task and left to do that task. Come back and see where he's at. Evaluate it with him. Let him know you only got like a third of what I asked you to do, Chance. Well, I had this freaking amazing idea for a clothing company. So that's probably what it would take. I'll see you guys in the next one.
Different, don't get bad. High difference of my winning. Shoulder gun out there swinging. Yeah, I got night vision. My family, all my brothers.